more controlling. It has Dissipate, it has Rewind, it has Supreme Verdict, it has Sphinx's Revelations. All of these cards that you would view as a more controlling thing. And it also has one, count 'em, one Harvest Pyre as a means to combo kill with Boros Reckoner.
And over on Trevor's side, we've got a deck that actually you're going to see right here, but just debuted at the Pro Tour this weekend, called the Aristocrats, because it has both the new Cartel Aristocrat and the old Falconwrath Aristocrat. Sort of a white, black, red, mid-rangey deck, leaning a bit towards aggro. And we see here he's started out with the Doom Traveler, which can effectively be sacrificed twice to both those cards I just mentioned to get their abilities. So Doom Traveler gets followed up by a Knight of Infamy, so that cavern named, probably not Knight, probably Human. I think it is a Human, right?
Yes.
Yep. And
Human.
cavern named Human gets Searing Spirit, and now we see a Boros Reckoner come down, facing off against that Doom Traveler. Trevor draws an old Foil Plains, and the Lingering Souls puts 2 spirits into play, and we'll probably see him pass the turn here once he can find some spirit tokens.
One of the interesting cards we see in Trevor Petrilli's list is 2 Scaresdog High Priests. Now, if you remember this card from a few Pro Tours ago, a Madison player, Jasper Johnson Epstein, had a couple of these in his Mono Black Zombies list, back when Mono Black Zombies wasn't something that was considered playable anymore.
Yeah, and he was using sacrifice outlets like Mortipod and other kind of things to turn that on, so pretty cool stuff going on there. We see Trevor takes 3 from the Reckoner and is now going to serve back for 2 with his Lingering Soul tokens. It's got a Vault of the Archangel, I think I see, a Cavern of Souls, which is going to name probably not Human.
It might name Human again.
Wizard?
Wizard wouldn't be terrible. Wizard it is, and he names
down comes Boros Reckoner for him too.
Now those tokens you see on Trevor Petrilli's side, the 1/1 tokens, these are tokens Star City Games makes. And at the last Invitational, these were so popular that we actually ran out of them at the feature match area because the players that were playing at them would walk off with them.
Yeah, I know. Whenever I make an order from Star City, I'm always pretty excited to get those tokens. The art's just really cool. It's fun to have them to use. Looks like a Restoration Angel comes down and an attack from the Boros Reckoner and the Angel.
Now we see Reckoner v. Reckoner.
We are going to continue our streak of, well, unless they draw one of these players with 4 Boros Reckoners losing.
An awesome draw from Trevor Petrilli, should he want to use it. It looks to me like a Vault of the Archangel is in his hand. I'm not sure if he's ready for it yet or not. But, nope, if he's going to cast stuff, then not yet. Cartel Aristocrat.
Yeah.
What does that do? It's a 2/2 for white and black. Sacrifice it, or sorry, sacrifice any creature to give it a color.
It looks like Trevor may not have black mana just yet, which is preventing him from flashing back Lingering Souls and from using the Vault. So
yeah,
black mana besides the ones that he gets from Cavern of Souls.
We saw this problem strike one of the other players earlier today. The second round, red, white, black control deck, unable to cast Augur Spree because of its lack of access to black.
Yeah, and as good as the mana is in this format, I mean, there are still going to be situations like this that come up. So we see, oh wow.
Ooh, timely Dissipate to stop Lingering Souls from being resolving or being able to be flashed back. Removed from the game, it says. Or exile, I should say.
Yeah, so that Dissipate being put to great use by Alex. Facing down quite a few creatures, although his Angel is bigger than all of them. And we're going to see another attack here. A block with the Doom Traveler. And one thing that's really interesting about this Aristocrats deck is with Boros Reckoner being such a presence in the format, having these 8 ways to sacrifice your own creatures allows you to handle Boros Reckoner by blocking it and then sacrificing your creature before damage is dealt to not give your opponent that extra value, which is what he just did here with this Doom Traveler.
Absolutely. One of the things to remember, in a format where let's pretend you believe that Boros Reckoner is the best card, having cards that help you fight against Boros Reckoner is a big deal. It matters. Now, if you are just joining us, I'm Adrian Sullivan here with Ben Hayes. You can reach us on Twitter at SCG Live or join in the conversation, hashtag SCGCIN. If you were following on Twitter, you would know that Adam Prozac just is playing at the 5-0 table versus Lauren Nolan, the 10K champion.
Wow, that's probably a pretty interesting match. We see a Godless Shrine come down here untapped, dealing Trevor a couple damage, but allowing him to activate Vault of the Archangel if he chooses.
Now remember, Vault of the Archangel gives his creatures lifelink and death touch.
So all of his creatures here, he can both activate Vault and give his Boros Reckoner first strike. So it looks like this may be able to hold off Alex, who has it looks like at least a Rewind in hand and a couple other cards.
Now, between Cartel Aristocrat and Vault, it's actually really impressive what Trevor Petrilli is able to do here. The ability to have Death Touch take out Reckoners is pretty awesome.
Yeah, only having to deal them 1 damage, like in the case of these Spirit tokens, and still having them die from that is pretty big, yeah. So, I'm going to see each creature blocked, and Trevor still has a red or a white to give his Boros Reckoner first strike if Alex chooses to do that. And so, looking pretty good for Trevor. Another cute little interaction is, now that Trevor's Boros Reckoner has Death Touch, the triggered ability off that, if it targets a creature, would kill that creature. So, another little thing, probably not going to come up on this turn, because I think all of Alex's creatures are going to die anyway.
And now, we have to make sure, well, we don't have to make sure, Trevor has to make sure that he gains the life from his dying, life-linking Reckoner's triggered ability.
Oh, that's another good point. Yeah, so Trevor's going to gain the 3 life here from first strike, and then also 3 life from the damage he redirects from that Boros Reckoner. Because the Boros Reckoner, even though it's not on the table, still had lifelink and death touch when it died, and that's the information that is going to be used when that damage resolves.
That is so sick.
Yeah, I didn't actually, I mean, I saw this deck played yesterday at the Pro Tour, and I didn't even realize this interaction here with Vault and Reckoner. It is pretty nice.
I have got a huge grin on my face just because of how awesome Magic is.
And I think they're talking about...
probably that very thing.
Yeah, maybe some life gain. It looks like one of these Boros Oh, they may be discussing who has to choose targets first.
Now the question of who chooses targets, remember everybody, AppNap. Active player, not active player. That means if it's your turn, you're the active player. If triggers are going on the stack at the same time between you and your opponent, the active player puts them all on first, and then the not active player. Now look at this incredible favorable trade that Trevor Petrilli has just done here. Like, the board is completely clear. I'm not sure what the life totals are, but I bet you that he's gained life.
Yeah, I would think so. It looks like one of those Reckoner triggers targeted a Spirit. That Spirit got sacrificed to give protection to the Aristocrat. And then the original Boros Reckoner on Trevor's side ended up killing that Restoration Angel with its Death Touch lifelink direct damage ability.
We can see the life total is updated 15 to 12.
Wow, that's a huge life swing just from that Vault and a few creatures.
And in for 1, and I believe that there might still be some lingering souls in the graveyard.
Yeah, I think he's going to get to flash one of those back. Leaves up a Cavern, which can't give his Reckoner first strike.
I don't know if he had any options,
he may
though.
Not have had,
yeah, that's the human one. He used the wizard one to cast the Reckoner and then 2 mana sources. Then he used the black and colorless to cast the Lingering Souls. He did not have a way to have mana up for his Reckoner.
Yeah, so good mana here, but not quite enough to do literally everything.
Yeah, he does not have the Bird of Paradise. What is that called?
Chromatic Lantern.
I'm not even talking about Chromatic Lantern. I'm talking about the alternate format where you have your little champion card that you put off to the side. But
Commander.
Not Commander even.
Prismatic?
Vanguard. He does not have the Vanguard Bird of Paradise. So, yeah, his mana is not perfect.
An interesting way to think about it is like if you give your Boros Reckoner lifelink, then when it gets in combat, it almost has double lifelink, because you're going to get the life from it dealing damage, then you're going to gain life from all the damage that's dealt to it. So...
Oh, here comes the other aristocrat. Falconwrath aristocrat. In the air. Rewind is going to come into this, perhaps. It is not a human. It is not a wizard.
Yeah, it looks like he tapped the cavern, but for colorless, so... Yeah, that is going to get rewound.
Yeah, I would be unsurprised if Trevor was like, tap my cavern, spend black, red, you can say it so that you're not being bad.
Yeah. It looks like Trevor, unless I'm missing something, may have accidentally exiled that aristocrat. Okay.
There we go, fixed, yeah. I think he did exile for half a second, but now it is properly in the graveyard.
Not all counter spells are dissipate.
And it does not look like he has any means for that to have mattered, but at least the game state is correct.
Yeah. So Trevor coming across with these 3 spirits. And Alex is going to pillar of flame that other aristocrat. And this one actually does get removed from the game.
He lets it happen. He'd prefer his token to his aristocrat.
Yeah, it's an interesting choice. I mean, in this case, his tokens are the things getting through, and any creature with Death Touch is going to take out any other creature for the most part. But that aristocrat being able to have Death Touch and protection from a color seems pretty valuable too. So we'll see how that decision ends up playing out.
This vault feels so mean.
Yeah, I mean, in this particular game, there's really been a lot of creature trading and a lot of creature combat, and Vault really just takes that over entirely. So, looks like a champion of the parish.
Yep.
A little late to the party, but with Vault, it's still very effective. And
Aristocrat's
gonna pump that champion of the parish up to a 2/2 if it resolves.
5 mana up for Alex Binek. He says, okay, looks like only 1 card in hand. Razor Trigger, he's saying.
And yep, Trevor with a pretty huge army against Alex's lone Boros Reckoner. So we'll see what Alex can come up with here. 2 mana. And he just draws his card.
If you're just joining us, at the top of the screen, just off camera, is the Cartel Aristocrat, and then Champion of the Parish as a 2/2, Boros Reckoner, and 3 Spirit tokens from Lingering Souls. They face off against another Boros Reckoner.
And Doom Traveler comes down, growing the Champion of the Parish again, effectively being 2 more creatures, but Snapcaster Mage is going to Searing Spear the champion to take that down.
Alex Binek, almost dead here.
Yeah, these spirits are doing a lot of work getting in over that Boros Reckoner. And we see the Doom Traveler sacrifice to the Aristocrat, giving it
protection from something.
Yeah, anything he blocks the Reckoner with is going to deal it damage, which is going to be enough to take him out. So Trevor takes the first game.
Good eyes there, Trevor. He saw that from a little bit off and got that first game down. Now, Trevor's sideboard. Trevor just beat his opponent in this kind of very interesting match. Alex Binek, his deck is a little bit more controlling end of Flash, and Trevor's is a mid-range aggro deck. So I would be very unsurprised to see a card like Blood Artist come on in, not to mention Obsidat Ghost Council, and Assemble the Legion seems reasonable to me.
Ooh.
He's got a single Assemble the Legion in the sideboard, and finally Cavern of Souls as a way to say, you know what, I saw you have Rewind. You know, I saw you had Dissipate. Now, those are the only two counterspells that Alex Binek had, but I would not be surprised to see Cavern of Souls come on in for this.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. He did draw the single Dissipate and the single Rewind. Those are really the only counters he has, except for 2 Izzet Charms, at least in his main deck, and 1 Counter Flux in his sideboard, and then a couple of Dispels and Negates. But the Cavern of Souls is only going to combat a couple of those cards. Trevor may bring it in because he saw 2 counterspells that game, though.
Yeah, I mean, 2 counterspells out of basically the proportion of cards Alex drew actually made it look like a higher percentage of the deck. From Alex Binek, I'm not exactly sure what he's going to bring in. I expect Pillar of Flame to kill any of the number of crappy, you know, early drops that you don't want to get out of hand. A good answer, for example, to a turn 1 champion of the parish is killing it.
Yeah.
Just get rid of it before it goes bad.
Yeah, Alex's sideboard seems to be more focused on control matchup. He has 4 Geist, 2 Jace Memory Adept, 1 Psychic Spiral, Counter Flux, then the Dispels and the Negates that we mentioned. So, not sure he really has much for this particular matchup. And yeah, Trevor, we might see those Blood Artists come in to deal some more incremental damage. He has 3 Blasphemous Acts. I would be surprised if those came in, considering that I think he's going to be the one flooding the board with creatures more, but who knows, we might see 13 damage being dealt to a Boros Reckoner.
That's funny. I mean, particularly because, you know, let's pretend, right, that you cast your Blasphemous Act thinking it's going to be your triumphant win with your own Boros Reckoner, and they unsummon your Reckoner in response.
Yeah, that's definitely a potential.
Or heck, just burn it even.
Yeah. So this seems like I would say this is a pretty good matchup for Trevor. I mean, I think Alex is looking to gain, I guess, smaller advantages and have a couple things like Supreme Verdict and Sphinx's Revelation to get a bunch of card advantage potentially, but they're both playing pretty fair games with a lot of value cards, and I think I prefer what Trevor's doing over here. I think his cards are generally a little more resilient, and he's going to be playing more threats out, asking more questions, and Alex is going to be, you know, either forced to answer them or lose, like we saw in that matchup, in that game. So,
I mean, I think that Trevor is just naturally suited to this matchup. If it comes to a grind, he can win a grind. If it comes to creating the threats that you're talking about, he can produce them. I mean, I think this is just a natural matchup advantage. It's not like he's going to auto-win this match, but this is, I think, the kind of deck that he is more well-suited to fight.
Yeah, and as you saw in Game 1, he has 2 Vault of the Archangels in his deck, which really completely take over any kind of creature combat scenarios, any kind of racing scenarios, even put you out of range of just getting burnt out by Boros Charms and Searing Spears. So I like where Trevor's at. At the same time, you know, Alex has some tricky cards himself, Azurius Charms, the Sweepers we mentioned, so we'll see what happens. He starts out with a Sacred Foundry, and Trevor plays a Godless Shrine. No action on turn 1. Alex plays a Steam Vents. Trevor draws a Champion of the Parish, casts it just a little late, adds a Blood Crypt and passes.
Nothing like the turn 2 1-drop.
No, I didn't draw that.
And it dies, as we talked about earlier. The quick kill on a card like Champion of the Parish matters. Turn 3 Boros Reckoner.
Yep, a play that we've seen quite a few times today, but hasn't gotten any worse. And we'll see what Alex has to deal with that. I think I see either an Azurius Charm or a Glacial Fortress. It was a Glacial Fortress. They have surprisingly similar art. And is that a bunch of Cavern of Souls? At least 2.
First cavern comes down.
And we're going to see that cavern name. Okay, that other gold card was an Aristocrat, so I'm going to guess that cavern probably named Vampire.
That makes sense to me. Snapcaster.
And Searing Spear.
Which do you prefer, he asks. This is a hard question.
Yeah, so right now Trevor's got the option of either letting this happen or sacrificing his Boros Reckoner to give his Aristocrat indestructible. And he will do that. So he'll get through 4 damage, deciding to keep the Flyer as opposed to the Boros Reckoner. And we'll see what Alex can do with this. And Trevor, it seems like Trevor may have taken 4 there instead of Alex. I think Alex is at 16 and Trevor is at 18.
As soon as we get an opportunity, we're going to make sure that we get those life totals to the correct numbers. There we go. Thank you to our spotters down there at the match itself in progress. Looking at the hand, you can see Vault of the Archangel. I believe you're correct that there is another cavern. Yep, another cavern and at least one other land.
And another Aristocrat.
Does this one work? And it does. Here they come.
Also uncounterable because of that cavern naming Vampire that he played on the 4th turn. So Alex is already down to 8 and facing down lethal. He's going to hit Trevor for 2, play a land, and we'll see if he has anything for these 2 Aristocrats. It looks like he has a Restoration Angel. Although it could be another card. If he doesn't, we'll know very quickly, and if he does, I think we'll also know pretty quickly. So Trevor with a Lingering Souls, and if it resolves, it's going to make those Aristocrats
well nigh
indestructible.
Yes.
Literally indestructible.
Yeah.
And
Alex just looks defeated already. I mean, in terms of the way he's handling his cards. There's that Blood Artist we talked about.
Yeah, so this is just a ton of damage between the Blood Artist, the 2 Aristocrats. Not sure what Alex has against this.
I mean, let's pretend that he gains 3 life. He's still dead.
Yeah, Trevor's representing 12 damage here, so. And a very aggressive start from Trevor. That looks like he might put it away right now. We'll see what he's got. And
this will give him the opportunity to put on a good defense. Snapcaster brings back the...
Snapcaster actually had no target there, so not a great use of it, but he had to do it in that case.
I believe he's indestructibling his creatures. And Trevor's like, okay, well, take 4, and then I'm going to Blood Artist you out.
Yep, and that's the match.
A quick 2-0 for Trevor Petrilli.
And another Boros Reckoner deck falls.